please welcome Ms.May P. Rodiguez, President of the Subdivision and Housing Subdivision and Housing Developers Association, to speak in the topic of Philippine real estate market, the impact from foreign investment.
Good afternoon. Pardon my voice. I hope I can get through my presentation with this. I represent the Subdivision and Housing Developers Association from Manila, Philippines. We are a group of 300 and more developers across the country. Okay, Subdivision and Housing Developers Association, our SHEDA. Our vision is to be the leading voice in articulating the advocacy of the housing industry in the Philippines. Together, we unite several developers in the country to be able to ensure a faster and effective, efficient flow of information and to be able to lobby for policy changes in the housing. So in the Philippines, housing is a very important industry. It is a major factor for consideration as means for social intervention and an economic bomb primer. And it cuts across all other segments in the society: the children, women, elderly, health and security, peace and order, employment, and general welfare. So housing is very important in different facets of the economy of the country. Housing has a multiplier effect of some 3.14% on the economy. That's why it is used as an economic pump primer. There are more than 80 industries attached to the housing sector. Housing activities in construction alone can address 5% of the total employment requirements of the country. These are the categories of housing in the Philippines. First, we have the low-cost housing, which is intended for the no-income to low-income earners. Socialized housing is generally undertaken by the government or the private sector for the underprivileged and homeless citizens. Currently, this is priced at about $14,000 or about 750,000 pesos. Low-cost one refers to our economic housing, which is currently priced at about $45,000 or about 2.5 million pesos. And then we have low-cost housing too. Together, low-cost housing is about 75% of the supply in the market. And then we have medium-cost housing, currently up to $73,000 or about 4 million pesos. And open market is those that are beyond this price limit. So medium cost and open market is about 25% of the housing supply. So these are the challenges in the Philippines with regards housing, availability of land, affordability, which I think has been affected, of course, because of the COVID, and the permitting and licensing requirements. However, these are the opportunities. Currently, there has been a trend in automation, including digitalization of the permitting process, as well as incentives for the private sector to be able to participate in low-cost housing. There are also public housing programs for the lower income segment being implemented by the government. So these are the steps that developers go through to be able to launch a project in the Philippines. So we have to do our clearances and land conversion with the Department of Agrarian Reform. And then we secure our clearances for zoning and development permit from the local government units. And then our environmental certificate from the Department of Environmental and Natural Resources. And then our titling through the Land and Management Bureau. And then we have a new department in the Philippines, which is about 4 years old still. This is the Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development. This handles the registration and the issuance of the license to sell, as well as arbitration for some cases. From the DSUD, the developers are issued the license to sell. We're supposed to show a proof of socialized housing compliance. All developments are required to produce socialized housing of 5 to 15% of their housing requirements of other kinds of housing. And then we also need to show proof of 10% development before we are being issued the license to sell. And then we also, the DSUD also requires a notice to publish to the public of the projects that will be launched in the market. We also need to post a performance bond to ensure that the projects will be completed. Now for mass housing, there's also an incentive for an income tax holiday. This is granted by the Board of Investments. The income tax holiday is for 3 to 4 years of the project life. This covers economic housing up to 2 million pesos, but projects must not be located within the NCR and must have a minimum of 20 livable dwelling units. So you might want to know about foreign ownership in joint ventures in the Philippines. So the Foreign Investment Act allows partnerships with foreign developers up to 40% ownership of the joint venture company. 100% foreign equity is allowed for other areas of investment except those reserved for Filipinos, which includes real estate. So unfortunately, for real estate, only 40% is allowed. So naturally, foreign corporations must first secure the necessary licenses or registrations. So corporations investing in the Philippines may avail of tax holidays or tax incentives by the BOI. And these companies must operate a business which has been recognized as part of the Philippine Investment Priority Plan, which includes mass housing. So what are the limitations? As mentioned, in terms of acquisition of land, this is limited to 40% for the foreign equity. And these are the exceptions. Foreign corporations can acquire other immovable or real properties such as buildings and other improvements on the land. But on the land itself, it's limited to 40%. So this is the ownership structure of a possible joint venture with a Philippine developer. The foreign company can own 40% of the joint venture, while the Philippine company owns the balance of 60% to be able to form the JV company. So initially, of course, there is initial capitalization. And then in the Philippines, we do allow pre-selling of properties, meaning we are allowed to sell the properties even before we have completed the development. So this is called pre-selling. And then the JV company may leverage, borrow from the bank, have their property as collateral. And then for the financing, end user financing, we usually have banks who give up to 80% loanable value, while our HDMF or the Pag-ibig Fund provides 100% loanable value for socialized housing and 95% for economic housing. And the interest rates are subsidized up to as low as 3% for socialized housing. But for economic housing, this is similar to bank rates at about 6.5%. And then because of the pre-selling, the JV company can use internally generated funds from the down payments of the units being sold, and that will be put back in the development of the project. So once the project is completed, that is normally when this is turned over to the buyers, and usually the lump sum payment of about 80%, which is sourced from the bank or Pag-ibig fund, will be paid to the developer, and that would be the portion of that would be the return on investment. Okay, so this is a sample JV company. Okay, so I managed to keep it short. I hope you were able to get the thoughts about Philippine investments. Thank you very much.